What up? We're back. Another episode of The Ox and the Rat. I'm your host, The Ox.
And I'm the Rat.
Rat, how's life treating you?
It's treating me well. It finally got cold here. I was kind of wanting cold, but as soon as it came, I'm like, no, this is bad. I don't like this anymore.
I remember those colds in that part of the world. I remember how you could never escape the cold because, different construction techniques, etc. Technologies mean you're never centrally heated and there ain't a lot of insulation.
No, your body's kind of got this constant cold chill to it.
Well, that's actually good for you. That's hormesis. Although if it's all the time, then it's just unhealthy.
That's a Greek god.
Hormesis? Hormetics? I don't know. Is that? I know the word is Greek. I've never bothered to look up the meaning for some reason, even though I'm a huge believer in it. It's a toxicology term. A dose-response phenomenon characterized by a low-dose stimulation, high-dose inhibition, whatever that means, resulting in either a J-shaped or an inverted U-shaped dose response. Environmental factors that would seem to produce positive responses have also been termed eustress. I like hormesis better than eustress. I don't know where the name came from.
Well, the definition doesn't make it much clearer, but...
there it is. Term hormesis comes from Greek hormesis. I can't pronounce those accents. Rapid motion, eagerness. Itself from the Greek hormein, which means to set in motion, impel, or urge on. The term hormetics has been proposed for the study of science of hormesis. Yeah, big believer. Like, for example, this morning, in addition to doing some exercise, I had my daily sauna and followed by a cold shower. So I'm getting some heat therapy and some light cold therapy in there. Love it. And I feel great.
You got a sauna there?
Yeah, we do. I don't think I'll ever be able to go without one again. I feel so good. And people are like, your skin looks great. I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. Infrared saunas, man. Not one of those steam saunas. Doesn't work the same. If you have a good, they're not even that expensive. It's like $1,000, something like that. That's doable, man, considering what most people spend money on. But one person, $1,000 infrared or near infrared sauna. It goes beyond the skin layer, and kind of like a red light therapy, which I can't afford, and I would really like to. It causes effects in your mitochondria, which are the powerhouses of your cells.
Hey, I was gonna say that.
Were you?
Yeah, because I remember that because when we were learning that in high school, my brother named Matt would always say the mitochondria, the powerhouse.
That's pretty good.
Good little memory trick. I had something else to say about that. Oh yeah, a little interesting tidbit. When I went to the ear, nose, throat doctor in Korea.
Oh, the ENT.
The ENT, I had a bad case of strep throat or something like that. And once they finished checking me, you go and you sit, and they have this wall of red light bulbs.
Oh, that's fucking amazing! Really?
Yeah, and then you go and you sit there, and you just open your mouth and shine red light into your throat.
That's fucked. That's amazing. That's what people have known about this stuff for so long. Here's a great one. I do intermittent fasting too, every day, more or less. For 14, 16, sometimes near 24 hours, depending on the day and what I did the day before. And going out in the sun, same thing, the sun is red light therapy. It's amazing. We've known this for the longest time. And what I was going to say was the fasting is well documented. I think it was what was the Greek doctor's name? have the Hippocrates. I think Hippocrates or some famous Greek guy said like the best cure is just not eating or something along those lines. So, and that was thousands of years ago. I mean, we've known about it forever. And then there's, the sun, there's vitamin D, and, bacteria can't handle certain wavelengths, right, of radiation. That's so cool. I had no idea. It definitely works. I never get sick. I just don't. And this is somebody who's coming off of chemotherapy and, former cancer patient, right? So, yeah.
Yep.
Turned out.
It works. I know my dad's always been talking about those quote unquote alternative therapies for a long time, and then it comes up in popular culture. You're like, that's what he was talking about a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess the problem is the naming of it. It's like, why is that alternative? Like, isn't like going and getting like an antibacterial like medication, isn't that the alternative to just using what's available already? I mean, yeah, I don't know. We've really missed the ball on all of that. We're always looking to add stuff. I've talked about that before, rather than just taking things away. Often works. Anyways, speaking of thinking too highly of our stuff, I don't know, that wasn't a great transition, but we've got a good one today. Are you ready to hear it?
Yep.
All right. Ready. This is The Wolf and His Shadow. A wolf left his lair one evening in fine spirits and an excellent appetite. As he ran, the setting sun cast a shadow far out on the ground, and it looked as if the wolf were 100 times bigger than he really was. "Why," exclaimed the wolf proudly, "see how big I am. Fancy me running away from a puny lion. I'll show him who is fit to be king, he or I." Just then, an immense shadow blotted him out entirely, and the next instant a lion struck him down with a single blow. Bam. So, you want to take a guess at this one?
Don't get too big for your britches.
Yeah, sure. I mean, that's pretty close. I think this one's kind of obvious. Do not let your fancy make you forget realities. So, a fancier way of saying what you just did. Don't think too highly of yourself and forget sight of what's really true. Yeah, there's a few things embedded in there.
You can tell this is an old story because there's a wolf and a lion in the same ecosystem.
Yeah, we're assuming. There's probably a time when that was true. Seems like hyenas and lions are together. So there are Canis family. I believe hyenas are. And feline, cat family.
I'm not sure if they are. They might be, but regardless, there's African dogs, wild African dogs as well.
Well, I got first thing that came up when I looked up our hyenas dogs. Just filled that out. They're not members of the dog or cat families.
Yeah, because they're weird. They have some other genus because the females have a penis.
What?
Little known fact.
Well, let's see. I bet you that's the next thing. It comes up here. Do female hyenas, have male genitalia, have an elongated, it's not a penis, it's an elongated clitoris that closely resembles, that's pretty gross. Okay. We're going to end that here.
How about do females penetrate male hyenas?
Do female penetrate males? The only mammalian females to copulate, urinate, and give birth through the penile-like canal. It's impossible for females to achieve erections. Wow. Okay. And a related search that came up here is pseudo penis in Wikipedia.
Right.
And why do hyenas laugh? Might have some ideas now. Oh my god. All right.
I got up close and personal with some hyenas, if you remember or knew. I don't know. But I fed them. I fed them by hand in Ethiopia.
Were they spotted? The laughing kind?
Yeah.
Did they do the laugh?
Oh, yeah. They're laughing. There's a bunch of them there. They even got some footage, some pictures.
Yeah, because they're laughing because they're like, hee, we're going to penetrate this guy soon.
We get free food.
Free food and free... Yeah, okay.
In Harar.
Yeah, I really want to go to Ethiopia. We were planning a trip there before I left. Or talking about it at least. Man, I really wanted to. I still do.
Well, don't go to Tigray.
Tigray? Yeah.
Yeah, don't go there.
Is that a city or a province? Or state?
I think it must be a province, but they're kind of civil warring right now.
Yeah, religion's a bitch, eh? Christ.
Guess so.
Where I really want to go in Africa, and while we're continuing on this tangent, is South Africa, because I want to try real South African biltong. It's like the ultimate beef jerky. That's what I want to try. And I love the braai culture now that I'm, mostly carnivore. So
good braai barbecue.
Well, do not let your fancy make you forget realities. Well, I don't know. I think that we're all prone to it. Similar to some of the other ones we've talked about, do not let your fancy make you forget realities. I feel like I'm always kind of up down. I don't know, maybe I'm like a manic depressive or something. But I find that I constantly go through up down cycles where, I'm great and I feel good about myself. Look at me, I'm doing stuff, and then I'm, damn it, I screwed up. I'm a screw up. I can't do anything, blah, blah, blah. That's really something I've noticed lately, especially in this career change when, I have like I'm starting from scratch kind of thing. And, I don't have anything else to build off of to say, well, I've been doing this for years. So now everything's like, okay, I suck. And then, or, I'll achieve something and then the next project will throw me off and I'm down in the dumps again. What about you?
Been there with, that's why I hate painting. Because when you start painting and then you're like, okay, I think I'm okay at this. And then you start and you're like, no, I suck. It's just terrible. This is a very small example.
Yeah, well, no, I think that's pretty honest, sure.
Yeah. But I felt that way with like graphic design and stuff. I really was not good. There's a bit of a learning curve. But nowadays I feel like I can do more. But yeah, you get into those certain things where you're just like, I have no idea how to do this. But good thing is there's lots of stuff online.
Yeah. Well, the graphic design one's interesting. I really, like I've said before, want to get into it. I'm looking into getting a graphics tablet now and talking to designers at work about like, how do I get started? That's usually my problem. Like when I got into brewing, it was, how does this work? I just don't understand. There's too much going on. What's this and that? And then you do it a few times and you're like, oh, this is actually quite easy. So we'll see if it's the same for me with when it comes to graphic design. But whatever the case, I think, yeah, you got to have a growth mindset, right? But it's that, it's that thinking too highly of ourselves part that's the real focus. I mean, do you think like you get up and down on yourself? Like I am, like sometimes I know that I'm like, I could do this. I'm great. I'm a good writer. And then I'm like, oh, I'm not a good writer. Damn it.
I think I'm probably more the too good to fail or whatever. I was hearing that on some podcast the other day. where you're like, maybe it's more like a fear of failing, I suppose.
Oh yeah.
I'm not afraid of it necessarily, but like you don't try because like, oh, this is probably going to go nowhere, and you just don't do it, or you yeah. But we have done, like, we started the podcast and whatnot. We have no listeners.
That's fine.
So that's one of the things, it's like, why bother? Not why bother, but it's definitely disheartening to get no response. But there's so much stuff on the internet just in general, like whether it be graphic design, you put it out there, you think, okay, this might do something, and then you got nothing. There's too much content everywhere.
Big C, my friend. When we started this, it was all about like, it had to be like, I do it for nothing, just because I wanted to, and I've learned a lot by doing it. So I know the tendency people have to see it like this is a for nothing. I very much doubt that. I hope you don't feel the same. I mean, when we, like, you're learning, like, you do a lot of the production side, there's a lot there. I mean, I've got a whole home microphone set up, and it's benefiting me at work when I have to take client calls. So there's a lot. And, I'm also thinking about, when I read these, I'm thinking about morals, tales, how things are written, because I'm a writer. So for me, and making connections is always important. I think it's too easy to say this, I don't see how this works or how this fits anything, when in reality, I think it's just as easy to say, I find, like, there is use here, and here's a few things that it's linked to. Like, yeah, it's just a mindset.
Yeah, I don't think it's for nothing, but I guess more closely related to the moral. When I think that I do something well, or like I think something looks good that I made, and then I put it online, and then you expect, like, okay, maybe this will get some response, and then it's like nothing. You're like, okay. But that's not necessarily because it's bad or good. It's just nobody's seeing it.
So what do you think the reality is? It's just that there's too much content? And
yeah,
I mean, you think like this is great, and then you forget that there's too much content, so that brings you down?
Yeah, I guess you're just hopeful. Like, people are bound to see it, but I mean, the algorithms and whatnot, it just shoves it way down. And a couple of people see it here or there, and they might like it, but that's about it. That's all that happens. You get like 2 likes, and you're like, okay.
Yeah. So I think I sympathize with you. I have to put a lot of things out there and be confident of them, especially when I'm struggling with that now, because I'm being given stuff as like, I don't know, I've never done this, and I feel like even asking questions makes me look incompetent. But and I have things go out that sometimes don't get a great response, and then we've got to do revision. But that's the nature of the industry. But I think, I don't know that I have a good grasp of reality when it comes to this. So I take a little bit of issue with whether or not this is accurate, right? Because what you're saying and what I'm saying is, like, sometimes we forget the reality. We're just not aware of it until, it's not that we're overconfident. It's like you just want to be appreciated, and you just don't know what the reality is. Like, for you, you're saying there's too much stuff out there. For me, I'm like, I don't even know what good looks like sometimes. So I do my best, but it's up to somebody else. So there's a curveball there to maybe say this may not be true.
Yeah, you have to be high on yourself, first of all, which I don't know if I am. I mean, maybe, I don't know. I'm just trying to find, I'm not like exuding confidence type of person where I think I'm like, I'm better than everybody, but I don't know. Okay, I have in my office, there's like, maybe this applies or doesn't apply, and I just can't see it. So I have people in my office, and they're always, one specifically is just always annoying and loud, and like burps and does stuff like that. And I put my music in. I just try to turn up the music so I can ignore everything. But somehow, like, no matter how loud the music is, I can still hear this person. And I take out my headphones, and doesn't seem like they're speaking that loud, but it just penetrates. So I'm always angry at that person. I come into work, I'm like, shut up. I'm just like, keep saying that in my head. But now, am I thinking like I'm more important and better in that sense? Or, I mean, to me, that's just a common courtesy that you don't yell and like burp and like.
No, I think that's reality, right? Somebody else is being inconsiderate, and that's the way it is. Whoever it happens to be. I mean, you've gotta share space, but maybe they're not aware of it too. Now, let me turn this around. Do you think that, and confidence is really important, and it's a sensitive subject, because I think it's like conflict. When you say conflict, you immediately think like violence, although conflict is necessary not only for life, but for learning.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think confidence allows you to create your own reality? I mean, and not just like a fictitious world, but you're confident, and because you're confident, you create the world that you want, and not in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. I would say so. It's just like a person with like, maybe subpar looks or something like that, and they're confident, they're like fine with who they are, they got maybe a good personality because they are confident, and they're easy to talk to, or they can talk to other people easily, and people are attracted to that confidence. So in that case, yes. I mean, even if you could get a job, let's say, if you're very confident and it seems like you know what you're doing, you could convince people otherwise, and then you just keep going. You're like, I'll figure this out even if I don't know it. So just keep going.
Yeah, fake it till you make it, right?
I think that's what Jeffrey Epstein did.
Yeah, he did a lot of things. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's a big one for me, because I wish I had more confidence at times. Sometimes I get a little bit too high on myself, and then you got to come crashing down. But I think that's a big subject now, because like people, all the influencers that I listen to are always talking about this confidence. But where does confidence come from? How do you know if you're being overconfident or not? That's the real challenge. Not that confidence is a bad thing, right? But yeah. I think that may be a challenge to this moral. Yeah,
you gotta walk a tightrope of assholishness and confidence.
Well, what about? Yeah, I mean, everybody's triggered these days, right? Christ's sakes. What about in the real world, outside of your personal experience? Do you does it hold true? Do you think people fancy often comes before the fall? Another way to say this?
I don't know. Can you think of like somebody that you knew or anything that were?
No, I think that I've tried to think about it, but often it seems like confident people just get what they want, and people who oversell themselves, they seem to get by really well. I don't know. I can't think of any examples where somebody was like, I mean, frauds exist. Sure. I guess there are times like who are some famous fraud cases, individuals? Try to think of that big Ponzi scheme guy, Bernie Madoff, right? when you listen to it, it's like, how did you get away with this for so long? But like, he ran a pyramid scheme, sort of, and he didn't have the money, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he put himself into a situation to where, when people started asking for their money back, suddenly the house of cards came down. I don't know if it was pyramid scheme, but anyways, it was built on nothing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it was clear that could happen. It just hadn't happened. So somebody who decided that, I can do whatever I want. And he forgot the reality that, oops, like, if people actually ask to see their money, I will have to show them. Like, there's no end game there, right? Like, there's no way out of that unless you disappear. So that's an example. How about, go ahead.
Two other ones. Well, one, I'll clarify that Jeffrey Epstein one. Basically, he kind of worked his way in. He got that teaching job or whatever.
Yeah.
And he had no actual like skill, I guess, in teaching. But he's just like, yep, I can do this. I think he lied actually, and he said he went to some other places.
Yep.
But yeah, his whole life was that, him being confident and thinking he's never gonna get caught with anything.
Yeah, and even when he was caught, his confidence got him out of those problems, right?
Mm-hmm. So there's that.
He did eventually, but I mean, a lot of damage before then. What else? I mean,
there's the fire festival. That guy, he had a lot of confidence. He got a lot of backers because he was confident. He knew how to talk the talk, got money, put on a terrible show, disastrous show. And then once he was kind of doing like the Bernie Madoff thing. When he got back and he owed everybody money, he started buying like all these VIP tickets or whatever, and then that they didn't exist. So he just I don't know, there's something where he just got a bunch of people's money, and then he's constantly like trying to keep afloat by scamming the next scam.
Yeah, I mean, eventually it catches up with you. Eventually. Yeah, I think that's the point. Like, eventually it will. Maybe we just haven't seen that we don't have a long enough history to say, like, people like Donald Trump are finally gonna have to pay for everything they've done. Talk about another fraud, but he's created his own reality too, and it's affected an entire nation. And beyond that,
I did have a very small one where I got too big for my britches. I was on a bicycle, and I was going down this small little stupid bridge. Is a bit of a hill, and I was like pretending, the front. I was wobbling the front tire back and forth. And I was like, ooh, like I'm gonna fall off, and I started going like too much back and forth, and then I just flipped my bike completely and landed on my wrist. I still have the scars on my wrist and my knuckles and my elbow. Just completely road rashed my arm.
We've all been there. A former skateboarder myself. Sure. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think that it's really, I'm often depressed after going through these to think like, I should be more of a liar, or, I should do that. Everybody gets away with things, but it's frequently true. I don't know. Around my personal life, like I've said, I'm not really like that. In the real world, though, it's too often true.
But I think that you and I probably both have, we have obviously a certain amount of confidence in stuff that we've done. And like to get a job, you're okay. You can go into that interview and, essentially convince the person to hire you in most cases. And whether you're completely experienced or not, you know that you have the skill set that you're going to be able to do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then there is no fall there. Like, as long as you can keep up your end of the bargain and actually do a good job, then there's no downfall. So I think it's being measured and realistic, I guess, with your confidence. knowing why you're confident in something, not just confident for the sake of being confident. Like there's skills to back it up.
Hopefully. I mean, we're always selling something, whether it's ourselves or, some product. I think I've come to see everything as a transaction, right? So there's a benefit in being confident. You have to be. Honesty, well, maybe, hopefully. Let's assume that honesty is important. But I think that the job market and, a lot of our world is based on fancy. And I don't think that we often live in a reality that's based on, what's important. So it doesn't always pay to be different and to be the kind of person who's, not confident, who doesn't fancy themselves. Fine line, I guess.
Yeah, today's society, that seems to be the best trait you could have. You get to be an online influencer. There you go.
Well, yeah, we've talked about before, like all of these people, they're like, oh, I'm so happy. Look at my curated live stream, whatever. Turns out they commit suicide or something. And it's like, oh, that was such a shock. I'm like, really? Are we still shocked by these things? Like, this person was probably putting all that stuff out there because they were not, right? How many influencers have turned out to be frauds?
Yeah, I guess this will be a good case study to see all these new TikTokers and everything, like what actually happens. They're only they're teenagers, most of them, early 20s. What's going to be the possible downfall? We had Logan Paul in the Japanese forest. He got too confident. Thought his little video about the person who committed suicide was funny, and turns out it wasn't.
Yeah, wow. Who'd have thought? Yeah, I mean, yeah, he was living in this world that was free of consequence, and everything is funny up until it's not, right? Mm-hmm. So just because you live in this world doesn't mean that you're apart from it, I suppose. Yeah, but
he's still rich.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the problem, right? So, oopsie, I made an oopsie, and now I'm still fine.
Okay, here's one then. What about getting rid of them? Canceling.
Cancel culture? I'm not for it. I think that everybody deserves a chance at redemption. When we need it, too, right? Like Sun Tzu in The Art of War, was always talking, it's the exact opposite. And this is an interesting influence of culture, and you may be aware of this. We think, I'm a military historian, so a lot of our tactics and strategy are based on annihilation. And that goes back to Hannibal at the Battle of Cannae, German theorizing leading up to World War II, World War I and World War II, a strategy of encirclement and annihilation, the Napoleonic Wars, blah, blah, blah. Contrast that with what I'll just generously call Asian wisdom, which says that it's always best to give your opponent a way out, right? And I think that extends to a lot of things, and I think that's a lot more realistic and healthy to relationships, etc. So people need to be able to make mistakes, because mistakes are where learning happens, right? To take that away makes it impossible for anybody to come back to address issues or to learn, and we put them in a position of now you need to be coiled up like a cobra, ready to defend yourself. And that's where we are in a lot of ways with politics, I think. Everybody's either right or wrong, and there is no in between, and surprise what the outcome is, right? So I don't agree with cancel culture.
Yeah, if we allowed people to say I guess that wasn't correct, and then you can't jump on them and be yeah, everything you believe in is wrong.
All we want to see is progress, right? Progress is in fits and starts. It's not, and we know this from the science of how people learn. We learn by our reaction, by other people's reactions. We learn in response. We don't learn in isolation, right? So, your life is who you are is your cumulative experiences throughout your life, right? Everything from that time you fell off a swing to that time you broke up with your girlfriend and blah, 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 all the way leading up till today, and what you did in response, right? So it's not really the things that happened, it's how you responded. And if we don't give people a chance to respond, then they'll never learn, and we'll never learn by extension. Yeah. Well, that's a good one to end on, I think. And my work day is about to start, and I'm sensing, I'm aware of a sense of foreboding. I don't know. I have some reasons for thinking that, but yeah, getting the emails and all that. But yes, I'm aware of a sense of dreadful foreboding for my work day, and I know that you are about to go to sleep, I'm sure.
Yes, indeed.
You're getting old. You need your sleep.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So, where do we come down on this one? Yay.
Largely disagree. 75% disagree. That's three out of 4 thumbs up. I mean, down.
25% of people succumb to their fancy.
No, 25%. Is that now I'm confused. I'm disagreeing that fancy makes you forget realities. That's what I'm disagreeing with largely. I think that can be true. That you can get too big for your britches, but I think that a lot of time that people don't end up paying for that overconfidence, let's say. And in another way, it's a really important thing to be confident and to make your own reality, right? Because you have to have a set, how many innovations, etc., are the product of one person? I mean, geez, hashtag Elon Musk, right? Like, just saying, I'm going to do it. And I don't care what you say. I'm going to create this whole industry. And
now, he also had the skill set to back it up as well. Somewhat.
Yeah, true. So he was confident, but man, he went through some trials, right? Like he almost failures, bankruptcies and stuff. Now he's the second wealthiest man in the world. So 75% disagree.
All right, I like that. So until next week.
Right. Till next week. Auf Wiedersehen, and do not let your fancy make you forget realities, people, but also,
be fancy.
Be fancy. Feel free to make your own reality as long as it's for the greater good. All right. Peace out.
Later.